This is for Year 12 Methods. It's the 2014's Functions Application Tech Allowed question number 1. Victoria James is a spy. She spent some time at the Victorian Falls in Zambia, and to get away from her captors, she dived off the top into the water. This is the rule of her height above the water measured in meters. I've entered this over here and I've dragged and dropped it into my screen. To find when she commenced her dive, I'm looking for the y-intercept, and that will tell me that the y-intercept is 90. What was her highest height above the water? Analysis G-sol maximum, and that will tell me that the maximum is, after 0.05 meters, she's 90.02551, which gives you 90.03 meters, or if I was rounding it in meters, centimeters, 90 meters and 3 centimeters. When did she enter the water? She entered the water. How far was she from the base of the vertical cliff? So I'm looking for the x-intercept, G-sol root, and the x-intercept is 3.0819, which becomes 3.08 meters. Okay, over the page. There are exposed rocks in the water, so she alters her dive to g of x, where g of x is here, where I've got plus ax plus 90. Now there's a little misprint in the readings. This should be a negative ax, however I'm going to answer the question for this particular a, even though a is supposed to be a positive number as defined by here. So in the 2014 paper I accepted two sets of answers, a set of answers based on this rule and a set of answers based on this definition of a having to be positive. Okay, so what are the values of a so that Victoria enters the water to the left of the exposed rocks? Here are the exposed rocks. If she enters to the left of the exposed rocks, then I actually want to find g of 1.5 equaling 0, and that will tell me the a value that is hitting those rocks. So if I go up to here, bring up my keyboard, put in a variable a, I make it option given x equals 1.5, and I actually want that to equal 0. So the height is equal to 0 when x equals that. I select it, interactive advanced solve for a, and a equals this. Now if she was to enter at the base of the cliff, if she's going to enter here, then I actually want when she's at 1.5 to be less than 0. So if I put in here options less than and press XE again, I want a less than negative 45.3. That's the correct answer given this equation, but obviously a was asked to be positive, so therefore I would also accept no solution. State the values of a so that Victoria enters the water to the right of the exposed rocks. Okay, so to find out the value of a for it to be to the right of the exposed rocks, then I actually want to make that 2.1. I'll copy all of that, put it into a new line, make that 2.1. And this time I want this to be bigger than 0, because at 2.1 I actually want Victoria to be above so that she actually enters to the right. And when I press execute, that tells me that a has to be greater than negative 22.277, and if I wanted that in exact numbers, that's the two numbers that I would accept. So enters to the right, then it has to be a greater than negative 22.27. What happens if a equals 0? Well, Well, if A equals 0, if I take my expression, here's my expression, copy, paste, given A equals 0, and execute. There is my rule. That's what it's going to look like. Hang on, I might clear that, edit, clear all, okay. If A equals 0, zoom auto, that's what it's going to look like. Analysis, gsolve root, and move across. She's going to enter the water at 3.03 meters away from the cliff. She's going to be to the right of the rocks, entering at 3.03. What happens to Victoria's dive if A is negative? Well, she enters at 3.03 if A is 0. If A is negative, like these values, she'll either enter to the left of the rocks, on the rocks, or to the right of the rocks, but not further than 3.03 meters. As A becomes a really small number, for example, as A becomes negative 20, negative 200, for example, then what's going to happen she's going to be entering closer and closer and closer to the base of the cliff. So as A gets larger and larger negative number, Victoria enters closer and closer to the base of the cliff. I can see that if A goes from negative infinity to negative 45.3, she's between the cliff and the rocks. If she's between negative 22.27 and 0, she's right on the rocks. And if she's between negative 45.3 and negative 22.27, she hits the rocks. But as A gets bigger as a negative number, Victoria gets closer and closer to the base of the cliff.